Hello, chess friends, and welcome to Jozarov's chess channel, and welcome back to the TCEC Season 21 Premier Division. So after many rounds, Stockfish is still in the lead, and Leela C0 is on the second place. So we'll probably see again a super final between the two top engines. And today's game that I've prepared for you, it's a great gameplay by Leela C0 against another top engine, Eagle. And this game, I think, has all of these beautiful elements of the attack, because sometimes in chess we play sometimes two positional. We're trying to improve minor pieces, then we're trying to search maybe for some positional trades of pieces. Sometimes in chess, I think we forget about attacking opportunities, because sometimes we're a little bit scared to find the next best attacking move. We're waiting a little bit, and I think passive play in these days is not rewarded anymore in chess. You have to play active chess, you have to play attacking chess in order to make something to happen. So in this game, we'll have a brilliant elements. First of all, we have this element of the lack of defenders. Whenever you feel that your opponent doesn't have so many defenders in front of his king, then it's time to strike, then it's time to attack. And especially top engines like Leela C0 or of course Stockfish are realizing this attacking opportunities, and then they played straightforward attack. So be prepared again, really a sharp attack by the top engine Leela C0. So let's check out now the game. Here e4, I'm going to tell you of course till which moment the game was prearranged, because in the TCEC season 21 and in some other seasons of course the openings are prearranged till one particular moment. So here e4, g6 still prearranged, d4 we have so far the modern offense. After move knight to c3, we have now d6, we have now the move f4, which is the so-called Austrian attack. One of the best ways when your opponent is playing this moves d6, knight to f6, is to go into the triple attack with his three centralized pawns, going simply straightforward against a potential knight move, because after a move knight to f6, you will have opportunities to simply push the pawn here on e5 and then break through, kick away the knight, and create then space advantages in the center, of course, space advantage on the fifth rank. So here a6, this was still prearranged. We have now knight to f3, we have now b5. Of course, black has lost a little bit the battle in the center. Now it's time for black to find new attacking opportunities, which is of course now on the flanks, because of course white cannot control the center and all and the flanks. So that's why with the move b5, at least black is trying to search for also some attacking opportunities. We have now bishop to d3, knight to d7, and now a4. This was still prearranged. Now the move b4, and now after move knight to e2, the last move that was prearranged by the organizer was the move bishop to b7. And let's stop and evaluate the position a little bit. Of course, black has of course the space advantage on the queen side. As we said, white has the dominant center position. What black would love to do, I think, in this particular position is to break through on the square e5. Black would love to do this one. e5, I think, would be a natural idea. This would simplify the game in an early stage of the game. If black manages to do that with a tempo, with a great development, then it's of course a normal and compact position for black. But there is also one rule in chess. With chess, you shouldn't push in the center. You shouldn't push pawns so much in the center when your king is still in the center. So that's why black has to first develop the minor pieces and then secure the king by castling. So after move bishop to b7, we have now c3. Leela c0 cements the center and also challenging the knight, the opponent here on b4. We have now c5, which is also a natural idea. We have now castling, and now knight to f6 here by eagle. Of course, now the e4 is attacked, so you can protect it with the move knight to g3, which of course Leela c0 played. And I've played many times this maneuver, knight from c3, then to e2, and then to g3 in order to protect your e4 pawn. I'm playing different ideas against I'm playing different ideas against Perth defense, modern defense idea. I play more classical systems without these moves like f4, but most of the times I reach similar position again also with these maneuvers, knight to e2 and then knight to g3, because the e4 has to be protected. I don't want to expose myself too early with the move e5 before I castle. So I also apply these principles. I simply first secure the king by castling, and then it's time to strike in the center. Then it's time to break in the center with the pawn move. So here after move knight to g3, we have now c takes d4, and after c takes d4, you see now e5 wouldn't be a possibility here for black. I've analyzed now this line. This wasn't played in the game, but I was very curious. Could really black here simplify the game with this normal modern defense slash Perth defense move? Could black really simplify the game like this? But actually it's not possible, because now of this particular continuation, because you get f takes e5, and okay, you have to take d takes e5, but now comes a great move I think here for white, and it's a natural move. It's the move bishop to d2, because if you take now e takes d4, then of course white, it will take simply the pawn here on b4, and you have some problems to castle, to secure the king by castling. That's actually a great example example how you should not push pawns in the center without securing the king first. So it's really now complicated game for black. I think black is here strategically lost. So as I said, here you could try maybe after move bishop to d2, you could try maybe here ideas like castling now, but again it's not so good because you get simply now this idea, you get simply d takes e5. Even if you try maybe to cement here your pawn on a5, then we'll simply take out d takes e5. You could maybe counterattack with the move knight to g4, but you see now white has this move, white has the move e6, which splits simply the pawn structure, which is opening the position. And you could try maybe now here f takes e6, but then you get simply knight to g5, and again I think black is simply tactically lost. You cannot castle anymore. This e6 will be taken, queen to b3 will follow. Of course you lose the battle here around the square e6. You could maybe try here ideas like queen to b6 in order to maybe recapture the pawn with the queen, with the check. Then of course king to h1 will happen here. This idea doesn't bring you so much. Knight to f2, then we simply take queen to f2, and this comes also with a check, so you lose too many material here just in order to grab maybe this one rook. The king is then again weakened, so it's again bad game here for black. So as I said, you could maybe try after move queen to b6, king to h1, you could try again to take out with the queen, but again it's not better because again you get the simple idea knight to g5, and you have this double attack against the queen on e6 but also against the pawn on f7. So again black is tactically lost. So I think we have solved now the positional problems around the square e5. e5 would be a great move for black if of course the black's king would have been already here on g8. If black already would have castled, then of course this move e5 would be perfectly fine, but actually black doesn't have time to play that move, and that's I think now a huge problem in the continuation of the game. After c takes d4 we have now castling, but now you see now Leela c0 takes over here on e5, simply pushes the knight away from the defense. Now after move e5 we have now knight to d5, and again we should stop a little bit and evaluate the position. Some weird things now already happen in the position, because what we can notice now, as I said in the beginning of the video, we have now the so-called lack of defenders in front of the king situation, which I've analyzed in one of my basics in chess videos. If you have followed my basics in chess series videos, we have talked about this ideas, the lack of defenders. When you have faced this ideas, when you face your opponent lack of defenders in front of the king, then it's time maybe to strike with some tactics. And we can notice now the only defensive piece that black has here is the bishop on g7. That's probably not enough, because we can notice both of these knights and both of these bishops are aiming here towards the king side, and it's already a bad game here for black. Black has, as I said, only the bishop as a defensive piece. What Leela c0 now does, it's really great. Leela c0 first plays the move a5, which paralyzes a little bit the queen side. We have said also in the beginning of the video that black, the only advantage that black has here in the game is the space advantage on the queen side, which is not enough. I think now after move a5 white has solved at least for a while the positional problems on the queen side, and it's time now to strike here on the king side. Here rook to c8 played by Eagle. We have now bishop to d2, normal development. We have now knight to b8, which is a normal idea with the move a5. Okay, we have stopped a little bit black's progress on the queen side, but now the a5 pawn becomes also a huge problem in the continuation of the game. So now the idea is clear, and black wants to play knight to c6 and simply take out this weak pawn on a5. So now comes the stunner of the game. Maybe you can pause the video and try to see now the best continuation, try to see now a great attacking idea which Leela c0 saw immediately. We have talked about these ideas. As I said, the lack of defenders in front of the king are causing many tactical problems for your opponent, so that's why maybe it's time to strike with some tactics. As I said, I've created this basics in chess series video, the lack of defenders as a tactics recognition pattern that you can maybe search in chess games. So I'll show you the link of the video you have here above. You can check it out. Maybe you can learn how to attack this kind of position. So it's really, I think, an instructive video how to attack in an early stage of the game. So here Leela c0 played an outstanding move, knight to h5. Here it's opening the position so much in front of black's king because this wasn't played in the game. But let's see now what happens if you play g takes h5. Then you get the Greek gift tactic with bishop to h7. Here king to h7, now knight to g5, and okay, you don't want to play of course here king to h6 because you get simply f5, and now the bishop is of course indirectly attacking the king. There are now discovered attack possibilities here with the move knight to f7 with the check, and also discovered attack against the queen, and then again it's of course game over simply for black. Black could maybe try to escape here to g8 in this particular scenario, but now queen to h5 will happen. You could maybe create some breathing spaces for the king, but again, it doesn't bring you so much. Queen to f7, then queen to g6 is preparing, of course, this checkmate. Again, black has to play king to g8, but now knight to e6 comes, of course, with the direct attack against the queen, but also with a checkmate threat on g7, and you cannot protect anymore your g7, so black is going to be checkmated here. Really brilliant move here by Leela c0, knight to h5. We have now king bishop to h8, and now king to h1 here by Leela c0. Leela c0 secures the king because there are always some kind of an opportunities when black maybe takes out this pawn with queen to b6. Maybe in the continuation of the game the king could be endangered, and now what Leela c0 is also preparing is an f5 pawn breaker. f5 I think would open the position. That's I think now the most important goal. We should try to open the position like this, even if we sacrifice more pieces. As I said, the only way now to attack is somehow to open files and or open diagonals in front of black's king. So here after move king to h1 we have now this idea, knight to c6, of course, with the idea to take out the pawn, but you see many pieces are deflected to the queen side of black. Black is attacking, of course, this pawn, but it's only one pawn. You see, meanwhile white is doing something. Meanwhile white is attacking the position. We have now knight to c6, and now Leela c0 improves simply the queen. Now the queen will come on the g file. Well, already the king is when we get the queen on the same file where the king is, then of course we have new attacking and tactical possibilities here for white. Really beautiful attack by Leela c0. Here eagle plays the move e6, which is also a natural idea. This move e6 first of all is liberating also the diagonal for the queen, but also is covering maybe the 7th rank. What eagle is trying to do as a defensive strategy here is maybe play with one of these rooks towards the 7th rank and protect maybe somehow the 7th rank, then maybe afterwards put something f6 or something, just in order to protect somehow the king further, because as we said, black has a lack of defenders. So here after move e6 we have now bishop to e4 by Leela c0, and now knight takes a5, and we have now a great move again by Leela c0, which is new stunner. It's the move f5. You see how Leela opens the position. Maybe now the best way here in the continuation of the game, eagle tried e takes f5. Maybe here knight to b3 would be a great opportunity, at least counter-attacking somehow, at least to trying to attack somehow white's position. But again, I think this idea is very risky here, f takes g6, because you don't have time to take out the rook here on a1, because you get checkmated with the pawn, which is really brilliant stuff. So you have to play something like f takes instead of this move knight takes a1, you have to play something like f takes g6. But now the queen comes very dangerous into the game. You don't have again time here to take out the rook because of this tactics, bishop to g6, and here you could maybe try to cover again, because if you take, of course, h takes g6 is not an option, you get checkmated. If you try to cover, as we said, with the rook, then bishop to e4 is creating a new discovered attack. You have to cover with the bishop, but now bishop to h6. So you see white finally opened the position. White is now pushing simply forward against this weak g7 square. Now black is again tactically lost. You could again maybe try here rook to f7, but now we can takes. Now knight to g5 is, I think, again winning the game. We can now also take out this pawn in the continuation of the game. So here also the threat is knight to e6. So again, it's game over here for black. Brilliant attacking opportunities, as we said, with the move f5. Here in the continuation, eagle tried e takes f5, but now bishop to f5, because if you play g takes f5, then you get, of course, queen to g3, and it's a checkmate. You can only cover with the bishop, and then queen to g7 is checkmate. So here after move bishop to f5, eagle tried now the move knight to b3, but it's a little bit too late. It's now again game over, because here in the continuation, Leela c0 first played this very sharp attack with the move bishop to g5. f6 is not a possibility to cover. Then you get bishop to e6. You see, whenever you maybe close one diagonal, then the new diagonal gets open again. Black is tactically lost. So here in the continuation, after move bishop to g5, queen to e8 played by eagle, and now Leela c0 simply takes bishop to c8. We have queen to c8, and now rook to d1. Here it's of course now much better position for Leela c0. The pawn structure is already messed up here. Again, black has only one defender in front of the king, which is the bishop. Now the move rook to d3, rook to g3 are opportunities. Again, queen to g3 simply attacking further the position. So it's again a brilliant attacking setup for Leela c0. Here in the continuation, d takes e5 played by eagle. We have now knight to e5, which seemed to me really like a strange idea, putting the knight like this, where already the bishop on g5 is now f6 could happen, maybe a fork against the knight and the bishop, which is really wild, placing the knight like this. And actually that's what happened here in the continuation of the game, f6. But now Leela c0 again shows its great attacking skills. Here Leela plays bishop to h6, because if you try now, of course, f takes e5, you don't have time to do that, because you get this one, rook to f8 wins the game immediately. You have to then get the trade off the queens for a rook, and it will be game over. So that's why you don't have time to take out. Again, this g takes h5 idea doesn't work. Let's see this again. Queen to g3 is happening, so you should notice that g takes h5 so far is not a possibility. So as I said, after move bishop to h6, we have now rook to e8, and now queen to h5. Again, if you try here f takes e5, then the problem is this one, you get d takes e5, and the problem is now you have to cover here also your 7th rank. You have to play something like queen to d7 or queen to e6 in order to protect your squares. So that's why in a potential continuation after queen to e6, now knight to f6 could happen. You can take maybe here bishop to f6, then we have e takes f6, and now the serious threat is this move f7. So that's why you have to play sort of a blockade with the move queen to f7. But now with queen to c4, white is simply winning this game tactically. The knight is saying you have to get back with your knight, but then queen to a2 is again attacking the knight. You see this knight doesn't have good squares. The knight is on the edge of the board. The knight will be simply chased away here by the queen. Now you could maybe try sort of a fork. Now we can takes, and now bishop to e3, rook to e3, and now with the move rook to d7, again it's game over. This pawn will be simply pushed further. We can also take out this pawn, then afterwards maybe further attack this knight somehow. And as I said, black is simply again losing here this game immediately. This pawn on f6 is simply too much to handle. Really brilliant tactics again all over the board. Great attacking game by Leela c0. Here after move queen to h4, we have now analyzed this move f takes e5, which is obviously not working here for Eagle. So that's why queen to e6, and now it's time really to get the knight back. Knight to g4. Now the knight was really in danger because the queen got now into defense. And now Eagle tries finally g takes h5, because now queen to g5, g4, queen to g3 are not opportunities, because the knight is standing in the way. But now Leela c0 simply plays a great move, rook to e1. We have queen to d7, and now rook takes e8, queen to e8, and now again here again this new rook comes on this open file on the e file, rook to e1, again with a direct threat against the queen. We have queen to d7, and now queen to h5. So let's stop and again evaluate the position. Okay, white has a rook against two minor pieces, against the bishop and the knight, but still this is such an endangered king position. Again, what white is only hoping for is to try maybe some ideas like queen to g4 or queen to g3 are very dangerous against black's king. Also, there are always some back rank opportunities. Maybe the rook, when the rook comes on the back rank, on the 8th rank, then again black is tactically lost. Now the rook to e8 is a serious threat. So that's why in the continuation bishop to c6 here, Eagle protects at least for a while this square, but it gives now again new attacking opportunities for Leela. We have knight to e3, queen to e6, and now queen to d1. We have bishop to g7, knight to c4, again a discovered attack against the queen, queen to f5, and now here Leela c0 simply takes bishop to g7, king to g7, and now queen to b3. The knight is lost. You see now, of course, white is up the whole exchange, and now of course it's a completely winning endgame here for white. So let's see now what happened and how Leela c0 played this endgame. After move queen to b3, we have queen to f2, queen to g3, a check. This is a great idea. I think when you're up the exchange and when you have a decisive advantage, then a simplification idea, simplifying the game by trading off more pieces, is perfectly fine. I think you should use many times this strategy when you're up the exchange where you have some kind of advantage. So great idea here also by Leela c0. Queen to g3, queen takes g3, h takes g3, and now king to f8, knight to b6. A great move again here, simply attacking the knight. Of course, if you take, then we get rook to e6, and then one of these pieces is of course then afterwards taken, and again it will be a rook versus minor piece endgame. It's of course much better for white. So here after move knight to b6, we have knight to e7. We have now g4, king to f7, rook to c1, attacking the bishop, bishop to e4, and now of course the king has to play. The king goes towards the center, and again a simplification idea, knight to c8, trying to trade off the knights. Knight takes c8, rook takes c8, b3, here rook to c5, king to e6, and now g5. We have now f5, and now even g4 is a great possibility here. King to d7, g takes f5. Now both of these pawns are connected. This is a pass pawn. This is of course again winning for white here. After move bishop to c2, we have rook to e5, bishop to d3, king to e3. Now of course the king goes towards the center. Now g6, creating this passer. Now f6, great move again by Leela c0. We have now king to c7, f7 the promotion, bishop to b5, rook to e7, attacking the king. We have bishop to d7, king to c5, getting the king towards the center more. Here we have king to b8. Now rook takes d7, king to c8, king to c6, and now after g5, here we have a promotion of the rook by Leela c0, and it was a beautiful checkmate. So brilliant game again played by Leela c0. Let's go back to this wild tactic here after move e5, we have now a5, and now as we said here knight to h5. This was the stunner of the game, opening the position like this. Now you see the bishop had to retreat, and the problem was always, I think, this idea queen to e1 and then queen to g3 to open the position in front of black's king. So you see the lack of defender idea is really a brilliant idea. When you want to attack your opponent, you have to recognize this idea. When your opponent has only maybe a bishop or a knight in front of the king, then of course it's time to strike back and with some new tactical possibilities. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. I enjoyed it really a lot. This game was suggested to me by one of my followers. I wanted to thank him also through this video. Thank you for suggesting me this game. If you want to maybe see some other games from the TCEC or some other top engine games, you can also suggest me in the comment section below. Maybe you can tell me which games we should analyze now in the continuation of the series, because these are really beautiful attacking sharp games. I really enjoy them, and I hope you do so also, because this, I think, very important games. We can see always new attacking opportunities, new strategical elements, new theoretical novelties, which is, I think, the most important thing of this game. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. If you want to see more games from this TCEC season 21 and some more top engine games, check out my commented chess games, the best chess games played by computer series. Here's the link of our whole playlist with really more than 200 games, really sharp games like this. And if you want to see humans battling it out in their best chess games, check out my best chess games of all time series with some great games from the past. And if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos, and chess is the best, of course.